This is a full video of how one small city in California, Imperial Beach, stood up against unvetted refugee resettlement and had the mayor's so-called Welcoming City proclamation retracted. The Welcoming Cities program is an Obama initiative, an outgrowth of his New Americans project. There is an organized, funded effort by far-left open borders groups to push for cities around the country to accept resettlement of unvetted so-called refugees from areas dominated by terrorist groups and drug gangs.
Great. Okay, now we have item 1.1. Did we have any more speaker slips, by the way? Oh, for 1.1. Okay. And that's the Welcoming Cities Proclamation. And just, there's a last minute agenda information for the regular city council meeting. And we had letters of support for this from the Anti-Defamation League, the Alliance San Diego, International Rescue Committee, San Diego Immigrants' Rights Consortium, SEIU Local 221 that represents our employees here at City Hall, Survivors of Torture International, Interfaith Center for Worker Justice of San Diego County. And then we have, before I read it, we have some speakers who would like to speak, I'm assuming, so I'll read the cards. And first we have Pedro Rios from the American Friends Service Committee.
Good afternoon. And if it's okay, I'm going to ask my colleagues to also join me. That way I think it'll be easier.
Oh, okay.
So thank you, Mayor Dedina and distinguished council members and city staff. My name is Pedro Rios. I'm the director of the American Friends Service Committee, which is a human rights organization that has worked in San Diego for nearly 40 years. We work on immigration, on refugee, and on border issues. And I'd like to begin by saying that this is definitely a step forward. I certainly do commend you, Mayor, and city staff for recognizing that Imperial Beach should be a welcoming city. I grew up in the South Bay. I remember the days from long ago when there were what we call the skinhead surfers, used to pick fights with some of the kids from my neighborhood. I grew up in the Del Sol area, and so Imperial Beach was also part of my community. And so I recognize that in this time period when we hear negative comments from people seeking public office, that when a city decides to take the step forward and proclaim itself a welcoming city, it really does recognize that every single human being in that city is of value, that every single human being contributes in myriad ways that perhaps we might not even be aware of. But it offers also an opportunity for those individuals to step forward and to say, this is what I can do to make my community a better place for everyone. So I commend you, Mayor. I commend the city for taking this step forward. And it certainly does represent, I believe, what many cities around the county, around the state, and around the county have been doing to ameliorate and to create communities of peace and really do welcome those individuals that are finding themselves in difficult situations in different parts of the world. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Now we have Megan Afshin from the International Rescue Committee.
Thank you so much, Mayor Dedina and respected council members. And today is such an important day. There are so many people affected by this type of proclamation. We have families that are being resettled here in Imperial Beach, one of which is a beautiful family that came from Afghanistan. And after working with refugees for 2 years, I saw some of the most amazing citizenship happening right here in Imperial Beach, because as serving with the American military, there was an Afghan soldier that came and resettled here in Imperial Beach, and the American soldier he was working with over those 10 years helped him to resettle here in Imperial Beach, get him a job as a plumber, and applied for his plumber status, and they have an amazing life, and within a year were able to resettle themselves. And so I don't think that would have been possible if they weren't welcomed, and that welcome wasn't as warm as it was. So thank you so much for taking this stance and showing the rest of our communities what it means to be a welcoming city.
All right, thank you. I have David Garcia from SEIU. Welcome back, David.
So my name is David Garcia. I'm the president of SEIU Local 221, representing about 14,000 public employees here in San Diego and Imperial counties. I'm also lucky to be the vice president of the San Diego and Imperial Counties Labor Council. And I just want to say, you know, SEIU would like to really commend you, Mayor Dedina, and the council for your leadership and commitment on this, and making the city of IB, you know, a community of all residents feeling welcome and having the opportunity to thrive and really claim Imperial Beach as their home and a home of immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers. Service Employees International Union believes in a society that values the contributions of aspiring citizens and recognizes the integral role that new Americans play in our past, our present, and our future. Immigrant, refugees, and asylees have a long and rich history in this country, and immigrants, refugees, and asylees grow businesses, strengthen the economy, create jobs, and serve as leaders in our churches, our organizations, our schools, and our community venues. Unfortunately, over the last few years, we have heard an increase in hateful rhetoric and from public figures directed towards the immigrant population. And I would just like to say such incidents are creating fear in our communities and further isolating immigrants and refugees. By proclaiming Imperial Beach a welcoming city, it sends a strong message to the residents and that contributions of immigrants and refugee communities are important to all, and that all residents, regardless of where they come from, are valued and welcomed in the city of Imperial Beach. We appreciate your commitment to ensuring that all residents feel welcome and look forward to working further with you and the city of Imperial Beach. And, you know, as a personal note, as the former code enforcement officer, but also representing the public employees, this is a real proud moment that you've taken this step. Thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you.
We have Laura Moreno from the United here. Did you want to speak, or?
I can just say who I am.
Oh, okay.
I'm here in support. My name's Laura Moreno, and I am the immigration coordinator for Unite Here Local 30, and we represent hospitality workers, housekeepers, housemen, cooks, you know, different parts of the people that work in the hotels, and we're very, very proud of Imperial Beach to taking this step forward. As it was mentioned, there's a lot of people that are in fear just because of the rhetoric, even though there's been people that have been in Imperial Beach or, you know, other parts of the county for a very long time and have been residents. But, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like this is a very great step forward for them. They're going to feel a lot more welcomed as well. And with the workers that I work with, I help them become citizens, U.S. citizens. A lot of members that have been residents for 20 plus years and didn't know how to become U.S. citizens. And a lot of them live here in Imperial Beach. So thank you very much for your time and thank you for what you're doing.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Aaron Tsurumoto. Did you want to speak? Oh, did you? Okay, and then I'm sorry, Ginger Jacobs from San Diego Immigrants' Rights Consortium. Did you want to speak?
So I'm accepting the
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so we'll do the proclamation then. Okay. So, did anyone, the council members, want to say anything, or you guys? Oh, okay.
I just wanted to say that, you know, this is a proud moment for us, for the community, and we want people here who have lived here for a long time, people who are moving here, to call Imperial Beach home. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, this is home.
Great, thank you. Mr. Spriggs?
And this proclamation, I think, speaks for all of us who are open-minded and love Imperial Beach as a diverse, friendly, wonderful community. And I'm very proud to be an elected representative of this community.
So, This means a lot to me. My dad came to this country in 1939 as a refugee, escaping the Nazi occupation of Europe. My mom was bombed by the Germans and ended up coming to America. And she married my dad, but was a refugee in her own country, had to leave London and go so she wouldn't get bombed. And so I have this image of my dad talking about coming to America. And I have a special relationship with the beach because my dad spent his childhood on the beach in New York and learned how to play baseball. And I was thinking about that today because I'm taking Steve Lopez of the Los Angeles Times, a columnist, to our beach tomorrow. And one of the things I talked to him about was the fact that I was at Huntington Beach recently for the state lifeguard thing. And what I saw in Huntington Beach in Orange County was that our beach has become the Ellis Island and the town square of America. And if you look at beaches now, especially our beach, they are places where people express themselves with joy. And more important, they come together regardless of race, religion, background, class, ethnicity, whatever differences, and have a beautiful time with their families. And you can see that in kids who find each other immediately and play together. And I saw that in Orange County, and I saw that today on our own beach. And it's something I'm immensely proud of, the fact that we have this amazingly hospitable beach where people come and have literally the best days of their life, regardless of what they're wearing or who they are. It's really, really great. So it really means a lot to me. And I'm really proud of the fact that we are a welcoming city. We have wonderful council members, a wonderfully diverse city staff, and we pride ourselves in this city of being very friendly. So anyway, it's really, really great. So anyway, I'll read this proclamation. Imperial Beach is a welcoming community for immigrants, refugees, and asylees. We are a vibrant and thriving community with significant racial, religious, and ethnic diversity. According to the U.S. Census, we are home to nearly 5,400 immigrants, refugees, and asylees, who represents nearly 1 of every 5 of the city's residents, and approximately 47% of all households speak another language in addition to English at home. Whereas immigrants, refugees, and asylees contribute to the economic, social, and cultural well-being of the city, and we are witnessing the largest refugee crisis since the Cold War, with more than 60 million refugees worldwide. And the city of IB is committed to recognizing the diversity and the diverse contributions of both immigrants and native-born residents. And as mayor of Imperial Beach, along with my city council, I recognize that all people are deserving of assurance of the basic principles of equality and human rights. So therefore, be it reclaimed that the city of Imperial Beach affirms our commitment to doing our part to make the United States a welcoming environment for immigrants, refugees, and asylees, and declares Imperial Beach to be a welcoming city. On that note, I was thinking about it, and Mr. Patton, I'm sure you had the same experience growing up. It's a little east of here. The kids I was friends with had parents who were from El Salvador, Japan, Korea, Philippines, Mexico, and Germany. That's just what I remember off the top of my head. So I'm sure you had the same experience growing up in just east of here.
It's pretty indicative of what's going on in our school systems right now. From elementary school to middle school to high school, we have this melting pot, and it's the kids, they get it. The kids get it. We have to make sure they get it, and then we want to make sure all the adults get it, that this is the right way to go. So thank you.
All right, so we'll present the proclamation. Anybody else wants to come up and do this? That'd be great. Yeah.
All right, you guys, on the count of 3, 1, 2. Okay. Any more?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Yeah, good deal. Thank you very much.
Mayor Dedina and City Council members, let me tell you a little bit about the organization that is accepting the proclamation. I'm the chair of the San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium. We were founded about 10 years ago, and we're a county-wide organization that brings together over 35 different individual organizations from the faith-based communities, everybody from the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, to Catholic Charities, to the Interfaith Committee for Worker Justice, We represent unions, community organizations, and some very even tiny neighborhood human rights organizations that have just formed together at a grassroots level, student organizations, legal services organizations, and lawyers all coming together to work to further immigrants' rights as human rights. And we proudly accept the proclamation. We thank you guys very much for making it. I was thinking when you were talking about your own heritage and childhood experience, Mayor, that I actually grew up in the middle of the country in rural Indiana, and it was not a very welcoming city. It was, you know, one of those cities that had been a hotbed of Klan activity, and everybody sort of knew that if you were a person of color, you didn't live in my town, you lived in the next town over, just because of that history and that tradition. Now living in San Diego County, my daughter, who's 8 years old, goes to a wonderful public, diverse elementary school. Her friends, their family backgrounds are from literally all over the world, everywhere from Mexico and Guatemala to Eritrea, Ethiopia, and beyond. And so it's a privilege to live in a county and to be a part of a community like this that truly sees the value in diversity, welcomes immigrants, recognizes their contributions. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Thanks for everybody for coming. Really appreciate it.
2 weeks later, a group of veterans come to denounce the so-called Welcoming City resolution.
Okay, now we have Dante Pamingtuan. And just remember to everybody who's speaking, just to give your name and address, and then if you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Dante Pamantuan, 1361 East Lane, Imperial Beach, California, 91932. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I think it's a really important thing to talk about. I have a question for you. What is going on with this Welcoming City Sanctuary Proclamation? I know I don't expect you to answer that at this time because this is probably not the venue. But me, as well as other residents here in Imperial Beach, the residents that voted for you to lead our city for our best welfare and for our quality of life here, there seems to be some kind of mismessage going on around with this proclamation. And I'm opposed to this proclamation. I think it needs to be rescinded. I think it needs to be pulled back and rewritten to the best of this city of Imperial Beach's mission, and that's to serve the residents. Well, I mean, what has changed in this whole proclamation? Why did we have to proclaim this Welcoming Cities proclamation? Why do we have to accept that? So you're getting pushback from a lot of residents that are out there, a lot of pushback. Let me remind you what the organizational chart looks like for the city of Imperial Beach. At the top are the citizens of the Imperial Beach community. Below them is the mayor and the city council. We voted you guys in to serve the city of Imperial Beach. Below the city council and the mayor is city staff, which they do a tremendous job for us. Thank you. I want to thank you for that. The mayor and others that are on the council ran on an election based on transparency. And I ran with that. I took that. And I wanted to just voice my concern about where this proclamation is headed. And it's kind of setting up a dangerous precedent. Really, we don't know what's going on with the border, you know, and to bring that into our little city. We are a border city. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I served my country proudly. There are a lot of military veterans here as well. So I want to tell you that it's disconcerting to me to read about these types of proclamations that are being published without the city council and the mayor, who's supposed to lead the city council, examples of leadership, to look over that fine print and that language of that proclamation. Got to look into it. So I want to defer if I have any more time. If there's any other speakers that want to speak on that.
Well,
So it's just, that was my 3 minutes.
great, thank you. All right, thanks. Now, Mr. Loudon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I too want
Can
to
you say
express
your name
concern.
and
John
address?
Loudon on 700 Seacoast, number 207. I too want to express my concern. This came across my desk recently. Somebody said, wow, Imperial Beach becoming a sanctuary city. And no, you know, I can't imagine that. I looked at the video. It doesn't say, I watched the testimony and I didn't see the sanctuary city. Welcoming city sounded a lot nicer. But you look at who's pushing it. Just as I was sitting here, I pulled up the Immigrant Rights Consortium and I scroll down their Facebook page, and the first thing I see is San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium is deeply concerned about Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's recent speech, yada, yada, yada. This is a very political group. Most of the groups that I saw testifying are open borders advocates, very strongly opposed to enforcement. They all want everything open borders, bringing in more. I don't know what this group does. It's the first I've heard of them. But when somebody comes in, somebody's paying a social service agency of some sort to look after them. My suspicion is that Imperial Beach was drawn in kind of a pawn role. That your proclamation, what really struck is when they received the proclamation and said, thank you for giving us this proclamation. Because I know what happens. People go around, they collect these proclamations, and then they use them for something to say, hey, this area is super welcoming. Send more of the refugees, questionably or not vetted at all, over to San Diego. And oh, by the way, here's a great little community down here. It's a welcoming community. Let's relocate more there as opposed to other places. Especially being right on the border. I don't know if you heard, they're saying 50 a day are coming up. These are refugees from Africa. I don't know how the vetting is. You know the process. You cross the border, you claim asylum, you get a court date, and you wander into the country. There's no vetting. So we've got that right here at San Ysidro. They say 50 a day are coming in. And so for IB to be pulled in a political move that has national and local implications is alarming to me. And I just think, you know, this is a wonderful place to live and work. And I just hate to see us get pulled into things that have a hidden political agenda. Thanks.
Thank you. I have something from Gerald Quinn.
Yeah.
Could you say you're donating your time to Dante?
So listen, I too.
Can you say your name and address for the record?
My name's Gerald Quinn, 570 Elm Avenue, Imperial Beach. Been a resident here for almost 20 years. I was surprised to hear about this proclamation also. I don't believe that it reflects the interest of the city nor the residents as well. I don't know who voted on this or whose constituents you talked to, but nobody talked to my neighbors or any of the constituents that I are in touch with, and they had no idea this was happening either. So the fact that nobody was even notified in the city, it is alarming. It's alarming to me too. I don't believe that we should be a sanctuary city. That's not what I'm for. I came here to raise a family, to a safe, nice environment, and all of a sudden we're playing politics, national politics in the city. It's ridiculous. We have too many local things to take care of and too many local issues. Again, I think that this proclamation should be revisited and revoted on, and I think we should allow to have the city come in, residents, to get an accurate vote of who really wants this and who doesn't want this. Because I have a feeling a majority of the city did not want this. They didn't even know this was even happening. I yield the rest of my time.
Great. I have Ernie Griffiths. And you say you donate your time to the VFW? I'm sorry. I'm just clarifying here. You say I donate my time to the VFW? Or are you representing the
I'm
VFW?
not speaking on behalf of the VFW.
Oh, you are? Okay.
No, I'm just as a citizen.
So you're not speaking on, wait, I'm sorry. You're not speaking on behalf of the VFW? Or you are?
I'm not on behalf of them, no.
Okay.
I just give time to. I'm an Air Force veteran.
Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, I'm sorry. Just
My name is Ernie Griffiths. I live at 458 Citrus. The subject is, of course, Sanctuary City. I don't know if I've been sleeping for years or months or whatever, but this is the first time I've become aware of this. So that's my fault, I guess. It's been out there. But I just want to make the point. Our city has got a lot of issues. We have environmental issues of all kinds to deal with. We got streets, lights, sidewalks. You know, Mayor, all the issues going on in the city better than I do. Why would we want to make this a sanctuary city? I can't make any sense out of that at all. It's illegal. We're just going to, people who have come into the country illegally, we're just going to ignore that they're here illegally. This is very, very offensive. At least the citizens of the city ought to get a chance to vote on this. Not just the city council decide to do it. This needs a lot more public exposure, folks. A lot more public exposure. Please get it out there. Get it in the papers, hold forums, whatever you want to do, but don't make a foolish jackass city out of us by making us a sanctuary city. It's not smart. Please.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, can we clarify that our proclamation wasn't a sanctuary city proclamation at all? Had
Yeah.
no anything to do with sanctuary city at all?
Yeah, there was no language that included sanctuary city. And it did include that all of the immigrants that you're supporting must be in the country legally. And that was fairly clear in the proclamation.
All right, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming. About a month ago, we issued a proclamation declaring Imperial Beach a welcoming city. It's a very benign proclamation, and that's it. We just said we're a welcoming city, and we love having people here. We have 47% of our residents speak a language other than English, so everyone's welcome to Imperial Beach. And more than likely, if you come to Imperial Beach, you're going to find me at the pier, and you're always welcome to surf with me. So I love Imperial Beach. I've been here since I was 7, and I've always thought it to be one of the most friendly and welcoming cities in the country.
What does it mean to be a welcoming city?
It just means that you're going to find me at the pier welcoming you to be here. We love having a diverse and inclusive city where everyone feels welcome and respected.
We haven't really spoke to these folks yet, but I assume
I actually just thank them all for coming here because I love this country and I love the fact that we have the right to express ourselves. That's what makes the United States of America the greatest country in the world.
Is Imperial Beach welcoming refugees from other countries? Is that?
We welcome all legal immigrants, we welcome all American citizens, and we welcome everybody to enjoy some of the best surf in the country. In fact, the surf today was firing, and I welcomed people from all over the county to surf it with me. So in fact, I want people to listen to me now. IB is a friendly, welcoming city. We've got a great restaurant on the beach, C180. The surf's firing, and you should come here and spend your money and enjoy a friendly city.
Are you expecting immigrants from other countries to be?
We have, I think, one in 5 of our residents are born in another country, so we're on the U.S.-Mexico border. So generally, Imperial Beach is one of the most diverse cities, small beach cities in Southern California.
What would you say to the folks that say that it possibly bring potential terror here or drugs or carnival crimes?
You know, we have one of the lowest. I'm proud of the fact that under my tenure, our crime rate actually dropped over the last 2 years. We have the 3rd lowest crime rate in the county, so that's something I'm really, really proud of, especially since our crime rate's lower in the Coronado. So our city keeps getting more diverse and our crime rate keeps dropping. So, you know, we have a great city. There's very few rentals available, so it's actually really hard for people to move here right now because there's very few rentals or even housing available.
Is the federal government helping with possibly supplying more folks to come to Imperial Beach?
You know, this is what I spent my day doing. I spent my day talking to the federal government about cleaning up the Tijuana River and making sure that sewage flows don't actually ruin our economy. So and if I could get help from the federal government on stopping that sewage from coming across the border, I'd be really, really happy. But, you know, Imperial Beach is one of the smallest and lowest budget and lowest income beach cities in Southern California. So, Yeah, the federal government doesn't help us pretty much with anything here, but anyway.
Is your decision on this proclamation something that was something historically or just recently?
It was a proclamation that was proclaimed by the city. The city council has no legal bearing. It's not a policy document. And again, it was a welcoming city proclamation, like many other cities across the country and in the county have done as well.
So it's not a commitment?
You know, like I said, Imperial Beach is one of the smallest budget and lowest income beach cities in San Diego County, if not Southern California. We literally have no money, and that's why we welcome people to invest in Imperial Beach and help build the businesses, and why we love our Chamber of Commerce, our U.S. military, which is here, and we do everything we can to welcome, especially our military and our veterans.
And again, why is this so important to you?
You know, like I said, when people come to Imperial Beach, they're more than likely to see me welcoming them on the pier, and we're a very welcoming and friendly city, and I'm really proud of that, having lived here most of my life.
All right. Very good.
Very much.
Thank you, sir.
We have big problems. We have houses falling apart, communities falling apart, streets falling apart. Our beaches are closed half the time because of what comes down the river from Tijuana. We just can't handle more people like that in our community that we have to try to support. So there is movement of opposition to this proclamation. And what we ask is the proclamation be rescinded, that the proclamation be rescinded and reviewed by the City Council, that if they decide that they would like to do something further as a welcoming city, that they take it up with the public and with the community and let us vote on it.
I got a bunch of, we've got over hundreds of signatures already.
Oh, good. Okay, we got some signatures. The petition's been floating around. So we have petitions and signatures.
We've already got almost about 300 signatures already, and
good.
more coming.
There you go, 300 signatures. So we're bringing this to the mayor tonight, and our mayor is very articulate. As you see, I'm not so articulate. I'm just an old guy out of the Air Force, but you know I can't hear very well either. But anyway, we just can't do this in our community as a practical matter, and so we're just asking to back this up, to rescind the proclamation, to bring it to the community, talk to us about it, and let us figure out how we're going to do this along with all the other issues that we have to deal with. You know, this is not just simply a proclamation. Basically, you can put this on a sign on the city limits on Palm Avenue and Imperial Beach Boulevard and say all refugees, asylees, immigrants, check in at City Hall for help with housing, clothing, education, medical care, whatever you need. But if you live here now and you're a person in need, you're not going to find that you can just go to City Hall and get help with housing and education and medical care. So we're inviting people to come in, and we don't know who they are, and there may only be 2 or 3 of them who are terrorists or gang members, but those 2 or 3 we can't afford to handle in our community. We're taking a big chance. The law of unintended consequences is coming into play here. And as much as we are caring about all the people in the world who are in difficult situations, we also have to watch out and care for our own communities and families.
It's more of an economical thing. It's more of an economical thing, not necessarily a threat of terror or drugs.
That's a very good point. There's an economic issue. As the mayor said, we're a poor community. I mean, the border is right there. People can walk from the border right here to where we stand right now. And sometimes they do. We have many of them in our community as it is. So we're we're just asking to back up, rescind this proclamation, give us a chance to talk about it, and vote on what we want to do.
There are refugees coming from all parts of the world. The UN is asking every nation to do their part and participate. And if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is Imperial Beach would like to contribute, but we just don't have the resources?
That's pretty much what it comes down to as a practical matter. We've always been welcoming. Look at our communities, look at our demographics. But the situation is getting much more out of hand, and our little city here, down in the southwest corner of the United States, right up against the border with Mexico, is all of a sudden sucked into the maelstrom of national politics over immigration. We don't need this. We just don't need this. Just let us do our sleepy little tourist thing here and leave us alone.
I think I'm good. That was very good, sir.
On September 21st, 4 weeks after the proclamation was made, a large group of about 50 people turned out to complain about the proclamation and demand that it be rescinded.
My name is Michelle Hoffman. Hello, Mayor and council members. So I just wanted to ask, in short, to please rescind the proclamation that you stated for the Welcoming Cities Proclamation. I first of all want to also commend you on your humanitarian efforts. I feel that you and I both come from the same history, family history. I also come from a family of immigrants. I am fully Hispanic. My parents came to this country wanting a future for themselves, a safe future, somewhere where they can call home and just invest in their communities. But I'm afraid that with the information that we have been given over these last several months, several years, we're not in the same place anymore. We can't just trust anyone, and we know that a lot of the people that come over and seeking asylum, calling themselves refugees, are unvetted. They're not safe. And we are, I believe, are opening a can of worms when we make a proclamation like this. I went online to search for what this proclamation really meant, and I really couldn't find anything regarding Imperial Beach's proclamation. So I was forced to go to other cities, and what I found was a little scary, and there was just a lot of things, a lot of red flags. So until we are sure what we are proclaiming and what we are joining ourselves to, I think it would be safe to just rescind that and just be a little safer for the safety of our children and for the safety of our community. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, Carol. Carol Hamilton. Carol Hamilton.
Thank you. Carol Hamilton, Imperial Beach, California. I'll be short. I would respectfully request that you retract the proclamation to declare us a welcoming city. The organizations that promoted this have a financial interest in placing the burden of refugees, asylees, and immigrants in our community because they are paid by the government to do so. The law of unintended consequences is in play, and we may be inviting terrorists and being gang members. And ladies and gentlemen, has anyone here ever seen a sign in front of anybody's lawn, anywhere in front of City Hall that says, "You are not welcome to live in the city of Imperial Beach"? I don't think so. Therefore, there was no need for this proclamation. It was strictly political. Please rescind it. Thank you.
You know what I'm going to do is, while we stand in line, so I'll call Kyle and then Marcus, Danny, Roger, and Kevin. Why don't you stand, I'll be just kind of a line over there, and then we can just get up. And thanks, Kyle.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Kyle, recent Imperial Beach resident and homeowner. I've been active duty for 9 years. I've been stationed overseas for about 6 years. I have about 6 combat tours. recently returned from Iraq. I had no idea that this proclamation was before this council. I was very curious how this council had pulsed the community for its participation and whether or not it concurred with this proclamation we put forward. I've spent 9 years working on combating terrorism, and in lieu of many of the recent events, most notably what happened in New York City and New Jersey on Saturday, I wonder if any of the members here have any changes to how they voted, knowing that the nationalized citizen was an asylee originally from Afghanistan. Very curious. I'm very curious who you've consulted in terms of subject matter expertise within radicalization of some of the members of our society, how they've gotten to the United States. I'm curious what the federal funding is that's been awarded as part of the task force on New Americans, of which I understand this proclamation is part of. Very curious. Again, I would ask that you rescind this proclamation because it's been very poorly executed, and I don't think it was democratic at all. And I question you, Mayor. You greeted me today saying how you love democracy. This was not passed democratically. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mark Escara. I'm a resident and homeowner here in Imperial Beach, and I ask as well that you all rescind this proclamation of Imperial Beach being a welcoming city. I mean, it's just striking to me how poorly executed it was, and how, first of all, you can't find any information about this thing online, period, anywhere. I just learned of it yesterday, just like many other people here, and IB learned of it just yesterday by word of mouth. And I went about town, virtually every single person I spoke to had no idea that this was passed, that this was enacted, period. And every single person that I spoke to, that I mentioned this to, every single one of them were jarred by it. They were shocked by it, and they did not care for this at all. Like, it just kind of popped up from nowhere. And yes, I get this idea that we should be compassionate, we should be caring, but we should also be very smart about how we're compassionate with people. You know, so far as I've been able to turn up, I've seen no discussions on how this is going to be practically implemented in Imperial Beach. You know, what does this mean? First of all, what is the magnitude of this? How many families are we talking about? 4? 100? And housing. Imperial Beach, as it is right now, housing is tight enough for all of these. So you're going to put even more of a squeeze on people in this town. It just, by devoting housing to refugee families, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, the funding, where is it going to come from? The housing, and what shape and form is this going to take place? Does this mean that the entire landscape is going to be dappled with Section 8 housing? As a homeowner, that doesn't thrill me at all. And often, where Section 8 is, home values, I mean, some of them devolve into slum-like conditions. That's not something that I want to see, and that's not something that Imperial Beach wants to see, the citizens, I'm sure. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. We're supposed to be on the up. I mean, prices are high enough already, as it is here. So, you know, and let us not forget too, like where there is low income, there's higher crime. We don't even have a police force here. We have the sheriff's department, not to discredit them, but we don't have
Thank you,
police.
Mr. Yard. We have it's 2 minutes. Thank you so much. And then after Mr. Huffman, we have Mr. Griffiths, or Griffiths. So if you want to stand up there, and then we have Michelle Dedina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is not an ordinary council. This is not an ordinary next Tuesday, his grandmother's day proclamation. This is a very serious document. It was brought upon us by outside organizations who have a pecuniary interest in placing these people in Imperial Beach. They get paid by the government for doing that. We're not equipped to handle that. We'd like to, but I'm sorry, we're just not. It's being pushed on us, and we need to think about rescinding this. Give us a chance to look at it again and talk about it, because as it stands, it looks like the proclamation might as well be posted on Imperial Beach Boulevard and Palm Avenue at the city limits, and said all refugees, asylees, and immigrants, please check in at City Hall for housing, education, medical care, food, anything you need. We just can't afford to do this here. We are a welcoming city, and we welcome everybody, but we have to rethink this process and involve the citizens. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Danny Carroll. And please state your name for the record. I think
My name is Danny Carroll. I lived in this city for 50 years. I served 20 years in the military, and I took an oath when I went in to protect this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I think we have some domestics now. I want to say, before I get really started, the definition of a couple of words. An immigrant is a foreign national alien who legally immigrated to the U.S. and was granted lawful permanent resident status by the U.S. government. Whereas a foreign national is illegally smuggled into the U.S. or violated a visa, then that person is an unauthorized illegal alien, present to the laws of the United States and are subject to deportation under Title 8 of the U.S. Code 1227, deportable alien. We're all immigrants here, unless you're a full-blooded Indian, and I don't see none of them here. My family came from Ireland and Scotland, but they came legally. You're opening the door here with this proclamation. Just like the sanctuary city. I don't know why you didn't call it that instead of welcoming city. Because if you read them, it's the same thing. You backdoored this, you went to a back room, you said, we're going to do this. You did not let the people of this community know. So therefore, I ask that you rescind this motion. I ask that you do not undermine the citizens' right to decide for themselves, yes or no, whether we'd like this. Put it on a ballot. Let us vote. If you win, I'll back you. If you don't, shame on you, you try to push it through. I ask that you do not undermine the laws of the U.S., which you are trying to do here. I ask that you do not add new laws when we have enough laws on the book. I do ask that you enforce the laws that we have on the books. Just as the young man said a few minutes ago, you said that you love democracy. If you do, then rescind this thing, put it on the ballot, and let us vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not from IB, so if you would shuffle me to the back, I think I'm probably not going to speak because there's so many.
Are you Mr. Ogden?
Yeah. If you would shuffle my card to the back.
But you don't want to speak?
I'm thinking there's going to be so many, they're going to say it all. And
Okay, that's fine.
yeah.
Mr. Gress?
Kevin Huffman.
I'm sorry.
All right, Mayor, Council. My name is Kevin Huffman, and I want to give you just a real quick background on me. I'm fourth generation Imperial Beach. My children are fifth generation. I'm very vested, and I have a lot of my heart's here in Imperial Beach. When I learned about this proclamation, and I started to do homework and try and find out what it was, what it meant, and where it was going, I really couldn't find any information. Just today when I walked up, somebody handed me the proclamation so I could read it. What I've been left to do over the last several days after learning about this was to go online and to read it. I looked at Chicago, Raleigh, North Carolina, and other cities. What I saw was lack of law enforcement and lack of immigration enforcement. So really, where are we going with this? If this is a proclamation, why not make it a city law? Why not put it up for the vote? It seems very sneaky and underhanded, Mr. Dedina.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, you live in this city, and history will judge you, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Okay?
Yes.
You may know the similarity between my last name and the last name of the mayor. That's my son. Some 70 years ago, I was a little 6-year-old Jewish kid in war-torn Europe, who by some miracle made it to America with my brother and our Jewish mom. Our cousins who stayed in Europe, many of them were murdered by the Nazis. When we arrived in America, we were welcomed. Not by everybody, but a lot of people did welcome us. Good feeling. Now, in our time, little Muslim boys and girls are being killed in the Middle East. We must welcome as many of them, those kids, and their families as possible. America is a welcoming nation.
Legally.
Legally. Part of that.
Excuse me, you all have the time, the opportunity to speak. Please observe decorum. Thank you.
Oh, hey, good try.
I recognize everybody's very emotional, but it's really important to have decorum and respect everybody's right to speak. And the more we do that, the more everybody gets to actually speak and get their time to speak. Thank you very much. John Lawley. After John, it's Earl Harris, then Bia and Ed Reyes, those Reyes, and Richard. I'm not sure what the last name is. Mr. Lawley.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, like several others here, I'm the great-grandson of an immigrant. I'm the grandson of an immigrant, and I'm the spouse of an immigrant. They all came here legally, so the problem I have with your proclamation has nothing to do with immigration. I have a problem with, as several others have said, I knew nothing about this proclamation before it was made. All of you were elected to office to represent the families, the voters, the taxpayers of Imperial Beach.
Right.
Yes. You need to inform us. Mr. Spriggs, in 2010, you listed online that one of your things was about government transparency. I see no transparency regarding this proclamation.
That's right.
Let the populace speak. If the majority is in favor of this, I will wholeheartedly support it. Like several others here, I also took an oath to support and defend this Constitution. I've served 26 years in uniform. I've lived in Imperial Beach on and off since 1996. The only times I haven't lived here is when I've been deployed for the United States Navy. I love this city. I plan on raising my family here and living here for the next 40 to 50 years. You need to let the people speak. I'm not questioning your motives. I'm not questioning anybody's agendas, but you didn't let the population know about this. You didn't let the voters and the taxpayers know about this. Listen to the people that you were elected to represent.
Amen. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Mr. Mayor, City Council, Earl Harris, Imperial Beach resident, Vietnam veteran. You guys went to school with my kids. Bringing in immigrants is what we're all about, but unvetted immigrants from a war-torn nation with full of terrorists and all that is not welcome here in Imperial Beach. It's not part of what we're here for. We have enough problems with the Mexican border. You can talk to the Border Patrol, you're letting them in and paying them to come in, and that's what's happening here. You're all elected officials, and you can all be recalled. Thank you.
Sorry, if I pronounced that correctly. And after that, we have Ed De Los Reyes, and then we have Richard, I'm not sure, CR? Garcia. G. Oh, okay. And then we have Jerry Quinn, and then we have Dave Wilkins after that, and then we have Dee Pierce. Yeah, thank you.
No, it's Dee. Thank you. My name is Dee Lacey.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I have been a San Diego resident for over 40 years, an Imperial Beach resident for over 9. When I first came to San Diego, I would have never come to Imperial Beach. And it's gotten so much better, so much better. That now I own a home, I'm glad I'm here. My kids will continue to live here. And I just want them to be safe and to have the good things that I know Imperial Beach can be. And I'm not sure that bringing in illegal aliens and people from the Middle East who haven't been vetted is the word, I guess. I'm not sure that's a good idea. So I would just like to say that I oppose Imperial Beach being proclaimed a welcome city.
Thank you, Biddy. And are you related to Barbara?
Yes, I am.
That's our school, Barbara.
Yes, I know. My name's Ed Delos Reyes. I got in Imperial Beach in 1947. The only time I left. Excuse me. I went to service. And I salute my brothers. What you've done, as you know, is totally out of line. I also suggest that you rescind the proclamation. You are not a dictator. You are the mayor of Imperial Beach.
That's right.
I think you should act accordingly. Have your constituents, vote on whether we need to have this in our town. I love this city. Just as everybody else here does. Think about what you've done.
Great, thank you, Mr. Lewis.
My name is Richard Garcia. Like many others, I had no idea about this proclamation. I didn't know. My neighbor just came up to me about an hour and a half ago. He told me, and we started scrambling and letting other neighbors know. And I think the right thing to do is to put it on the ballot. Put it on the ballot, see what happens. But my overall issue is really with the vetting process. We just recently, the federal government made an error and granted over 850 people citizenship in error. And the vetting process is not right. It's also, if you watch the political campaign right now, you see that the vetting process is one of the issues. So one person is saying that we need the efforts of Silicon Valley in order to assist us in the vetting process. Another one says that we need to do what Israel does and use a different approach, and where we're using other approaches. So the vetting process is an issue. And because the vetting process it itself has its own errors, how could we just allow people in? We just can't. It's a security threat. It's a security issue. So I ask that because people don't know about it in the city, because of the vetting process, put it on the ballot so that people will vote on it. It's the right thing to do.
Great, thank you. Mr. Wilkins? Sorry, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Dave Wilkins. I'm a 59-year resident of Imperial Beach. When I moved here, the streets were still dirt. So this was, I've been here a long time. One of the reasons I'm still here is because, in my opinion, this is one of the safest cities in the city of San Diego to live in. We don't have the illegal alien problem we used to have coming across the border all the time now. And the only reason people are here is because they live here. We don't have the problem with the homeless people here like they do in all the other cities. And I tell people all the time, this is a good place to come and live. I'm a business owner here, I'm a citizen, and I empathize with your father and what he was having to say, but the difference is the people that were coming from war-torn Europe in World War II were not terrorists.
That's
They
right.
were not from terrorists. And be safe. If 1% of these people you want to bring here are terrorists, your family, my grandchildren, your children are in danger. We do not need to bring that to this city.
That's right.
That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. I'd love to ask everybody just to observe some decorum and let folks speak so we can get on to make sure we get through everybody. I now have Mr. Pierce, or D. Pierce. Sorry. Mrs. Pierce.
Yes, hello, my name is Danushka Pierce. I'm permanent resident. I've been in Imperial Beach. I lived here for 26 years, and I'm legal. And I do oppose, I've learned about it about 2 hours ago. I just came back from work. Nice meeting you in person, Mr. Hall. I've spoken with you before. Yes, I've just learned about it 2 hours ago on my way back from work, and I'm just shocked, I'm appalled, and I'm really very upset about it. So I definitely oppose that sanctuary city, and it shouldn't be the way you are proposing. That's really, it shouldn't be the way you're thinking. So, you know, that's why I'm voting for Donald Trump, because he's awesome. I love this guy. And maybe it's something for you to learn from him.
Yeah.
And I actually, because of what you're doing, I believe you should be impeached.
Great.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. Some of you know me. Thank you. My name is Jerry Quinn, former federal officer, United States Department of Justice. Been living in the city for 16 years. As you know, when a subject comes up that I feel passionate about, I rally my residents. As I've done here today, I just want to put on the record, I do have a petition. I have over 300 signatures, and we'll be handing out even more. I oppose this proclamation. Again, I don't know. I would like to know who voted on it and how it came about. As you say in transparency, you all are elected officials, and some of you are up for re-election. Remember that in the next couple of months. Please listen to the citizens. As I told you the last council meeting, that the majority of the citizens in this city are adamantly against this, and I think tonight it proves it. I told you I was going to rally, and I did. Mr. Mayor, you say that you are, and I do call you a friend, you are a friend, so don't take this personal, but you are an elected official, and it's my understanding that you also run a nonprofit. I think you should make it transparency about who's donating to that nonprofit, so we all should know about that, also your wife as well. There's a lot of things going on in the city, a lot of projects, and I know you're behind a lot of them, and I would like to see who's donating to your agency and what interest they have. So I challenge you tonight to make that public.
Can I just respond to that? Is that possible for me to respond to?
No.
Because you can go to wildcoast.net right now on your smartphones.
Well, I'm asking you because you said you're transparent,
And
because a
go
lot
to
of
wildcoast.net on your smartphones right now, and our tax returns actually are on the web with all our donors.
Okay.
So anybody, if you can email me, I'll send you that link. All our tax returns are public record.
So I would like you to rescind this this proclamation, and I'd like you to respect the residents of Imperial Beach. We are the majority here.
Mr. Quinn,
listen to what we have to say. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Ruth, and then we have Stephen. So you guys want to get up, just stand in line so we can get moving. Dalton?
Yeah.
So Dalton, Bob, Ruth, and then Stephen.
How you doing? My name is Dalton Brown Edge. Eagle Scout for Boy Scouts of America, and also an overnight guide on the USS Midway. And I want to clarify that the American people are a little bit disappointed with what's been going on lately. For this is a serious matter, and the people should be heads up a week before this even happens whatsoever, because I understand, I know we all want to be very kind and respectful of bringing refugees into the United States and bringing them into our city. I'm okay with that, but the problem is there has been actions taken in the United States where it's threatening, like San Bernardino, Florida, New Jersey, and New York. That is absolutely dangerous, bringing Syrians in. And I want to also clarify when it comes to, bringing Muslims in here, and these people, we love these people, but the thing is, here's a little history fact. In 1933, Hitler allied with the Muslim Brotherhood, and the Muslims' religion is to basically anyone that does not prove in Muslim and you're a Christian should be basically killed or so on. Christians, Jews, and also gays and females don't even have the freedom that we have right now. Basically, over there, they have no freedom of speech, and if they do, they're basically throwing rocks at them. And if you bring them in here, and I would say, ladies and gentlemen, I would say I oppose this, and we should not have these people in until we have a further investigation, know who these terrorists are in the refugees, and basically be safe for our families and for basically all Americans, including the military. Thank you very much.
Ruth Cole. I'm sorry, did I miss Bob Gonzalez? I'm sorry. Ruth, can you hold on? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Bob, so sorry about that. Ruth, I apologize.
Oh, no worries.
I'm sorry. Battling lupus, so I'm having a tough time today.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
I lost my godson in 2007. He used himself as a decoy in Afghanistan. Got bronze and purple heart for that. And also had an uncle that was shot down in World War II. I don't know how we came to this process of not vetting the people coming over here, since my dad was born in Mexico and he has to show his card every time he comes across the border. And I'm saying is, why are we allowing so many people to come over before they don't wait in line to be vetted and get their card like everybody else is supposed to? We live on the corner across the street from the high school, and we had a ponderosa pine growing there. And when I cut that pine tree down, I found pants, clothes, jackets, foods from illegal people that were staying there on that tree that was above my house. And my beautiful wife and I have been together for 71, married, we're San Diegans. So, I think we should go through the vetting process the way it should be done, and not allow a bunch of people to come over without vetting them properly. If not, we're going to have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Ruth Cole, 326 Elder Avenue, Imperial Beach. I've lived here over 30 years. I raised my kids here. I have a small business here since 2009, and I am totally in support of this initiative. I know the reason that you did it is because it's the right thing to do. I'm sorry about the lack of, I just found out about it reading it on the web like 20 minutes ago. So I came after work. Excuse me, I'm getting a little emotional carrying all this vitriol. But we all are from immigrants. My grandmother is an immigrant. We are the United States of America. These people who are coming as refugees have been in internment camps waiting to get somewhere, right? They are vetted. So if you look
Everybody has allowed everyone respectfully to speak.
So I think we need to listen to Michelle Dedina's statement of his experience of coming here. The people that are coming here are vetted. They aren't allowed on the shores unless, yeah, they are. And Donald Trump Jr.'s meme of his bowl of Skittles has been proved ridiculous. So if you say well, I'm sorry, a lot of people from the United States. What about the Oklahoma City bombing? Come on now, people. Please have a police department.
Let her speak.
Thank you. Donald Trump Jr.'s meme of the bowl of Skittles, turns out that mathematically, if you look at it, it's 1.5 Olympic-sized swimming pools of Skittles that it would take to have 3 people that are off.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that's it? Okay, thank you very much. I think it was the right thing to do, maybe a little more transparency.
Excuse me. You know what's great about this country is we give everyone an opportunity to speak. Everyone has an equal opinion. Everyone should be allowed to speak without interruption. We all allowed everyone to do that respectfully. Most of you behaved brilliantly and beautifully. We thank you for all you did. So please give that decorum and respect to everyone else, because we all gave it to you. So now we have Stephen Haverly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And, I'm putting on my regular citizen hat here. I'm Stephen Haverly, a resident of the city of San Diego. I'm glad I was here this evening because I wanted to just stand up and support the city council's decision to proclaim Imperial Beach as a welcoming city. There are over 65 million folks displaced from their homes right now today, and that's 1 in 113 of us. So if we have 113 folks in this room, one of us could be one of those folks that are displaced from their home, and it's because of war. There are cities out there where these folks are being displaced from that don't have water, they don't have food, their leaders are attacking them with chemical weapons, and they're just trying to find a safe place to live. Secondly, out of that 65 million folks out there, more than 50% of them are children and women. I do a lot of work in this issue aside from my work in the environmental arena, and I just wanted to help clear the record on some of these issues. In providing a welcoming community for refugees is improving opportunities to contribute to the cultural and economic fabric of our community and improve our economy. And unfortunately, the hateful rhetoric that's happening in the political campaigns and a little bit here tonight, I hope that people can reconsider and look at the facts and take home some positive information about refugees today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Murphy. Thank you very much, Mr. Haverly. Now we have Ramon Cherez.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, local IBE residents. I've been a long-time local. I went to high school here back in the early 90s. I've seen the community change. Back when I was going to school, and a lot of people in the room will remember this, there was a lot of racial tension in our community. I remember growing up right by the border and being bused to Mar Vista High School. And I remember there being a lot of skinheads, a lot of biker gangs, and a lot of that stuff filtered down to all our schools. And I remember those racial fights that we used to have at school. It was either brown against white or white against brown, the wetbacks against the white kids or whatnot. And I'm not for or against this thing. I'm neutral here with this whole thing. I'm still trying to just gather all the information and figure out what this means for our community. But what I see is an overwhelming amount of fear. And that was the same thing that was going on, back when I was a kid. And if anything, that scares me, to go back to that. To go back to ideas being filtered down to kids. And those ideas come from adults. They come from adults, and they come from both sides, right? Doesn't matter what color you are, or where you grew up, or what nationality you are, or what culture you are. Ideas have a very impactful effect on our minds, our psyches, on how we see the world and how we view other people. And I want to pose a question for because I see a lot of anger.
You have 10 seconds.
I want to know how much of this has to do with the fact that people are brown from the Middle East. If they were from Europe, they were lighter skinned, would that be an issue?
Thank you so much. And we have Jan Hargraves. Jan, are you here? And Mr. Hargraves, you're from Spring Valley, is that correct?
Yes, I am. I used to live here years ago, I don't know, but I had friends that lived there now. But I think of this issue, as you realize what happened in New York, this could be something that would affect San Diego. Now, you said your family fled from Europe, but during that time, the United States took in very few refugees from Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, or Japan, because we were at war with those countries. And we knew the governments would infiltrate spies or saboteurs. But we've always taken in refugees and immigrants throughout our history. And I think we can speak out and say this is not a wise idea without being saying that we are bigots, racists, this or that, or saying hateful things. Because I want to remind you first responsibility of government at any level is to protect your citizens. And if you can guarantee that all these refugees you take in will be fine, there will be no problem. But that's not the case. There's no way to vet them. And we know this. We know this. The countries in Europe that have an attack, England, France, and Germany, have a large population of Muslims. The ones that do not are not suffering any terrorist attacks. I don't understand why Imperial Beach would take this on. But I just have to say, you have to, we are at war with radical Muslims. They're a very small minority, but they will use it. They have said they will. So I'm just thinking, I don't know why Imperial Beach would consider this measure. It just seems like maybe back somewhere else.
Thank you, Mr. Hargraves. Thank you so much for coming. Maybe I just wanted some clarification on proclamations because just first, I'm not really clear about what our role is in speaking and addressing public comment period. It's not agendized. So, City Attorney, would you like to comment on that? Or?
Sure. So yes, public comment, if the item is not on the agenda, we can provide brief clarification. That's what the law allows us to do while it's not on the agenda. So to follow up on the brief comment made by the city manager at the last meeting, we just want to clarify that the proclamation was not voted on by the city council. It's not an official action of the city council. It's not a resolution. It's not an ordinance, and it's not binding on the city. So the effect of it is that it didn't create any new laws. It didn't create any obligations on behalf of the city.
Why have it?
Why did you do it? Excuse me. Everyone's had an opportunity to speak. We're having clarification. Everyone's had an opportunity to speak. Is that great? Were there any other comments? And just a comment for the record. Am I allowed to comment for the record?
Yeah, brief comments are okay. We just can't have a discussion.
And just to be clear, this was placed on the agenda. It was on the agenda.
Right.
It was agendized. And how many? Is that a week in advance?
It's a minimum of 72 hours.
72 hours. But it was placed. I think it was done a week in advance. Is that correct?
The Friday before the Wednesday meeting, the agendas are available.
Okay, that's fine. And then we on an average, we probably do 2 or 3 proclamations like every council meeting. Right. And they're always placed on the agenda. So just to make sure I'm clear, proclamations have no policy implications. They don't make us required to do anything, and we have no immigration policy. We don't actually have any money. We don't even we don't do work with immigration groups. We don't do housing. We don't do that because we have no money to do that. Is that correct? First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. It's a profoundly great moment for everybody. It's really important as Americans that we can express ourselves and we have a process. And I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. Great. Are there any comments? Great. All right, now we have consent.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I'd like to just draw a contrast between the resolutions that we've just read.
Or proclamations.
Proclamations, and the proclamation that that seems to have generated some controversy. I think it's instructive that proclamations that don't call for any particular action are of one kind. Proclamations that do in some way, even though they may not be binding, call for some sort of action or make it's a judgment call, but we do need to have, I think, a way to assess the implications of proclamations that call for action. Two come into mind. One is the Rosarito, and the other one is the Open City, the recent one. Both of those
Welcoming City.
Welcoming City. to the extent, and there may be others, but to the extent that a proclamation calls for action that could involve city activities that may cost staff time or commit the city to a certain amount of activity that wouldn't be there in the absence of the proclamation, I think we need to really consider how those are vetted. It's hard to know what's going to be controversial and what's not, but clearly when some sort of responsibility is implicit in the proclamation for further action or behavior change or asking staff to do A, B, or C, there is an implication there that warrants a different kind of review or thought process than a proclamation of like the two types that we just did today. So I just put that out there. I think we're all learning from the experience, and we need to have a process that makes those distinctions.
I have to agree with Mr. Spriggs. The only reason I opposed that other proclamation was the fact that I don't.
Wait, I'm sorry, you weren't at the meeting.
I wasn't at the meeting, but I
made
made sure to voice my opinion to Andy Hall. The fact is that I don't believe.
Wait, you did it in closed doors. Is that correct?
Behind closed doors,
Okay,
yes.
not in public.
Not in public.
You weren't here for the meeting. You
Can I
missed the
speak,
meeting.
please? The fact is that partisan politics does not belong in these chambers. When we step into these chambers, our partisan affiliation goes completely out the door. And something as polarizing as this, and I am a grandchild of an immigrant, but when it's a federal partisan issue and something that has polarized our country so much should not be brought into these chambers.
But you could have attended the meeting to make that statement.
Well, Mr. Dedina, unfortunately, I work for a living, so I had to stay late in order to pay bills.
So you could have made that statement. You could have asked for it to be pulled, but you skipped the meeting.
You could have understood what
Excuse me. Everyone's had an opportunity to speak.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to call for a 5-minute recess.
Sounds good.
You want to be rude? I will be rude. Yes, you are. Your safety is at risk.
Please not. Just from you, buddy. Maybe just from you.
Before you see these newscasts, it's important to know that there are a couple of problems. Proclamations normally are not political and do not obligate the city. Dedina's proclamation is highly political. The refugee controversy is a central theme of the presidential election. Also, the mayor obligates the city by directing city employees to provide services to immigrants, refugees, and asylees. This is very inappropriate and probably illegal. The proclamation only applies to legal immigrants, but who is going to check? Some of these news reports are highly biased in favor of the mayor's ridiculous excuses. Dedina has told some reporters that he's only inviting people to come surf with him. In reality, he is inviting refugees to Imperial Beach and directing city employees to help them. Currently, Obama is accepting almost anyone as a refugee into the country, whether they fit the legal requirements or not, giving them a notice to appear that most will never honor. The council members do not vote on a proclamation, but they are also responsible because they could have stopped this political proclamation if they had only spoken out.
The international debate of sanctuary cities has found its way to Imperial Beach at a city council meeting here. We'll explain the debate coming up.
Mayor of Imperial Beach is under attack tonight. A small group of people are accusing him of inviting refugees with an official proclamation.
KUSI's Lauren Finney is in IB right now at a city council meeting where neighbors are addressing the issue. Lauren?
Well, Alan and Sandra, the meeting here at City Hall just got underway right at 6 o'clock, and there were about 25 protesters out here holding signs that read "No Sanctuary City." They are opposed to a proclamation that was issued about a month ago. It's part of an international debate that we now find here in Imperial Beach. But these protesters are saying that they want this proclamation rescinded because they're saying what Serge Dedina, the mayor, is calling a harmless, benign proclamation is actually a scheme to invite unscreened refugees.
And with all the events taking place, the stabbing and the bombings and all that, it's a matter of concern to us that people who we might call terrorists or gang members, MS-13, might find their way into our little city.
We don't manage U.S. foreign policy, so we don't, with Imperial Beach, we can barely break our beach. So, I don't know where that came from, but, it's a very benign proclamation. The same time we did prostate cancer awareness proclamation this month, it's breast cancer awareness proclamation. So we do lots of proclamations. They're not policy, they're not law, because frankly, we're just a really small city with a small staff and a small budget.
Well, the protesters that are here tonight did pass out copies of that proclamation, and you can see it says Imperial Beach is a welcoming community for immigrants, refugees, and asylees. On the back of the copy of this proclamation, they've actually listed what they're asking for, and they're saying that they want this proclamation rescinded and say that they don't have the resources as a small community to be inviting to immigrants, asylees, refugees. We spoke with several people here who were upset, said that they couldn't find copies online of this proclamation, again adding to their theory that this is part of a bigger scheme. The man who was passing these out said that he actually had to go down to City Hall to request a copy of the proclamation. We did find one gentleman here who spoke with us who said that he came here as an immigrant after World War II. He said he was a little Jewish boy, and being here in America saved his life, and now it's little Muslim boys. So he says, I'm on the other side of this issue. So you can see it is a small community here in Imperial Beach, we all know, but it is certainly one that is very divided on this issue. We are going to go into the meeting, Alan and Sandra, and we'll bring you the latest on what's happening inside there tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
All right, Lauren, we look forward to the update. The mayor of Imperial Beach found himself under fire tonight from residents angry about a recent city proclamation, one they say invites unscreened refugees into their community. KUSI's Lauren Finney was at the meeting tonight and has more on the debate. Lauren?
Well, Sandra, the debate over sanctuary cities is happening across the country, and tonight it found its way to Imperial Beach's City Council meeting. Every seat inside the tiny City Council room in Imperial Beach was filled, everyone with an opinion, and their voices were welcomed.
All you want to speak,
But it was the city's welcoming community proclamation that was causing at times a very heated debate.
They are vetted. So if you look at...
Opponents of the proclamation say they don't want IB to become a sanctuary city for unscreened refugees.
We can't just trust anyone, and we know that a lot of the people that come over and seeking asylum, calling themselves refugees, are unvetted. They're not safe. And we are, I believe, are opening a can of worms.
While several residents said they were concerned about safety, at least one man, the mayor's father, told his story of coming to America after escaping the Nazis.
We must welcome as many of them, those kids and their families, as possible. America is a welcoming nation.
Others argued America is in a different time.
The difference is the people that were coming from war-torn Europe and World War II were not terrorists. They were not from terrorist backgrounds.
but the mayor calls it a benign proclamation recognizing the city's very diverse population and nothing more.
We don't manage U.S. foreign policy, so we don't, with Imperial Beach, we can barely rake our beach. So, I don't know where that came from, but, it's a very benign proclamation. The same time we did prostate cancer awareness proclamation this month, it's breast cancer awareness proclamation. So we do lots of proclamations. They're not policy, they're not law, because frankly, we're just a really small city with a small staff and a small budget.
Well, there's a very brief response from the council tonight with the city attorney saying the proclamation is not official policy. There is no word on if the council will consider rescinding its proclamation.
A group of citizens in Imperial Beach is speaking out tonight against the recent welcoming city proclamation made by the mayor. They say the proclamation will bring unscreened refugees to their city, and they want the city council to rescind it. CBS News 8's Angie Lee joins us live from Imperial Beach tonight with the backlash. Angie?
And Barbara Lee, that proclamation was made back in August. The mayor says it was simply his way of saying, hey, we're a friendly city. We love having diverse groups of people visit IB. But even he admits the city is poor and doesn't have the funding to support refugees.
You need to inform us.
A proclamation.
The city of Imperial Beach affirms our commitment to doing our part to make the United States a welcoming environment.
By the city of Imperial Beach is receiving some serious backlash.
What you've done, as you know, is totally out of line.
Speaking directly to the city's mayor.
You need to let the people speak.
Serge Dedina got an earful during Wednesday's council meeting.
A lot of the people that come over and seeking asylum, calling themselves refugees, are unvetted. They're not safe. And we are, I believe, are opening a can of worms.
The worms this small group is referring to are refugees from the Middle East. Dedina says the proclamation does nothing more than welcome them.
We welcome all legal immigrants, we welcome all American citizens, and we welcome everybody to enjoy some of the best surf in the country. In fact, the surf today was firing, and I welcomed people from all over the county to surf it with me.
The Welcoming Communities program is an Obama initiative intended to encourage communities to help in immigration and refugee integration. These IB residents say the city doesn't have the infrastructure to support such a program.
Our community can't handle this. We have big problems.
They're asking the city council to rescind the proclamation and ask it be put to a popular vote.
Bringing in immigrants is what we're all about, but unvetted immigrants from a war-torn nation with full of terrorists and all that is not welcome here in Imperial Beach.
And that group tonight saying they are now in the process of gathering signatures. They will not be happy until that proclamation is gone. In the meantime, the mayor says it was simply a gesture welcoming everyone. So for now, Barbara Lee, it looks like the welcome mat is out.
The city council and mayor of Imperial Beach got an earful over a recent proclamation making the community a so-called welcoming city. Now, opponents don't like the fact that the document welcomes refugees, immigrants, and people seeking asylum to Imperial Beach. At tonight's meeting, several people said they have concerns about the effect on their community's safety, economy, and housing.
The proclamation might as well be posted on Imperial Beach Boulevard and Palm Avenue at the city limits, and said all refugees, asylees, and immigrants please check in at City Hall for housing, education, medical care, food, anything you need.
We love having a diverse and inclusive city where everyone feels welcome and respected.
Several people did ask the mayor to rescind the proclamation and put this to a public vote.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Nada Iranpour.
And I'm Jason Austell. Fireworks at Imperial Beach City Hall tonight as people against a city proclamation having to do with refugees gave the mayor and the council an earful.
That proclamation was issued last month, but many residents just found out about it recently. And John Carroll's joining us live in Imperial Beach with what has people so upset out there. John.
Netta, Jason, it all has to do with this proclamation issued on August 17th by IB Mayor Serge Dedina. It proclaims IB a, quote, welcoming community for immigrants, refugees, and asylees. But most of the folks who packed City Hall tonight say this proclamation was a big mistake. One by one, people got up to voice their disagreement with the mayor's proclamation. Here's a sampling of some of the reasons people oppose it, and we're urging the mayor to rescind it.
The law of unintended consequences is in play,
and we may be inviting terrorists and gang members.
I'm curious what the federal funding is that's been awarded as part of the task force on New Americans, of which I understand this proclamation is part of.
As people held signs saying no ISIS and no sanctuary city, the public comment continued.
I've seen no discussions on how this is going to be practically implemented in Imperial Beach. You know, what does this mean? First of all, what is the magnitude of this? How many families are we talking about?
You backdoored this, you went to a back room, you said, we're going to do this. You did not let the people of this community know.
Though far fewer in number, there were people who spoke in favor of the proclamation, including the mayor's father.
We must welcome as many of them, those kids, and their families as possible. America is a welcoming nation.
These people who are coming as refugees have been in internment camps waiting to get somewhere, right? They are vetted. So if you look at...
After the public comment wrapped up, the mayor told the crowd that the proclamation had been agendized, that is, made public, 4 days before it was officially made. And he asked the city attorney for clarification on just what the proclamation does and does not do.
The proclamation was not voted on by the city council. It's not an official action of the city council. It's not a resolution. It's not an ordinance, and it's not binding on the city. So the effect of it is that it didn't create any new laws. It didn't create any obligations on behalf of the city.
Now, some of the misunderstanding tonight seemed to be over the nature of a proclamation. Mayors issue proclamations. That's just part of what mayors do. It's not binding on anybody to do anything, and it's unlikely the mayor will rescind it. Live tonight in Imperial Beach, John Carroll, CW6 News.
In spite of some of the biased media reports, there was no misunderstanding about the basic intent of the proclamation. It was retracted only 2 days after the public complaints, while a recall effort was being seriously considered.